My name is Lorenzo. I'm here with the expert to make kombucha, Diana Rodriguez.
Thank you, Lorenzo. I'm so excited to be here with you and all of your viewers.
What are you bringing up today?
So what I wanted to do today is I wanted to show you and your viewers a chemical process known as fermentation. And today we're going to ferment kombucha. Have you ever tried kombucha before?
Yes, I like the apple flavor to the moon.
You love it?
Yes.
Nice. So there's a lot of flavors, right?
Yes.
But historically, kombucha was made with green or black tea. Let's get into some details about that. Some of the things that you're initially going to need is some supervision. If you're under the age of 13, you might want to have some adult supervision around you because we are using glassware.
Yes.
Now, I've used some distilled water. I use loose leaf tea. Again, traditionally in China about 2,500 years ago, green or black tea were most commonly used.
Ooh, so interesting.
Yes. So we're going to use some loose leaf black tea today. I've already brewed some tea. Oh, and actually I should remove this part here. Yes. I'm going to add some sugar. This is going to be the food that the SCOBY uses. So here we go. I'm going to put about 1/4 of a cup of this sugar. And I've pre-measured this.
Yes.
Okay, so I know what I'm doing. I'm going to mix. Thoroughly, and then I'm going to add a SCOBY. Now, this is the powerhouse of how we make kombucha, how we ferment kombucha. This is a dried version of a SCOBY. It stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. Here I have a part of a SCOBY that's already been hydrated. Now I washed my hands are clean. We want to introduce the SCOBY into our tea. That SCOBY is going to give us some bacteria and yeast that are going to consume the sugar and turn it into kombucha. Okay, so from here, actually I was supposed to put this in this jar. So hopefully I don't harm my SCOBY too much here.
How long would it take for the drink?
Great question. So from the moment that we're putting in the jar here to the moment that we can drink is going to take about 7 to 10 days. Now we can start.
I was so thirsty.
You wanted some now? We'll have some to drink, but we want to make sure that this fermentation process actually thoroughly happens, and for that it takes some time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a filter paper. You can use a cheesecloth. You can use mesh paper, mesh cloth. Essentially what we want is for air to be able to go in and out and carbonation to expand, and we'll get into that in a moment here with our slideshow. So I want to put this in a place that's dark and warm, so anywhere between 65 to 85 degrees is ideal. If it's hotter than 85 degrees Fahrenheit, the SCOBY will not function, and if it's lower than 65, it'll also not work. So let's pretend we're putting this in a hidden, warm place. Okay, let's continue with our presentation here. Kombucha was known as a tea of immortality because it has a lot of benefits that some experts are still debating and researching on its actual benefits. Here's another example of the SCOBY that we just showed you. Again, it's bacteria and yeast together. Next slide, please. Now, in the first part of our fermentation process, we're actually going to use the yeast part of the SCOBY. The yeast is going to break down the sugar that we added, and it's going to break it into glucose and fructose. That's known as glycolysis. Now, the glucose of that break apart, the glucose that breaks apart is going to turn into ethanol and carbon dioxide. If you're wondering why kombucha is so fizzy and bubbly, it's because of the carbon dioxide. That's what makes the bubbles come out. This is why we want something that has the capability to release air.
What happens if it smells kind of funny?
If your kombucha is starting to smell funny, I would probably start the process again and toss what you have away and start all over again. Your kombucha should not smell bad. Let's go to the next slide. Now here's another diagram of how we see the entire kombucha process go. We have tea plus table sugar, which we added. We have sucrose, right? Now, this invertase is an enzyme, and it's going to break the glucose and the fructose apart. That's done by the yeast. Afterwards, the bacteria of the SCOBY is going to come into play, and it's going to turn, basically the SCOBY is doing work here to give us some wonderful products at the end. Cellulose, gluconic acid, acetic acid, ethanol, and CO2. Next slide, please. Did you have a question, Lorenzo?
Yeah. So if you make kombucha and it smells weird, then you have to toss it, right?
Yes.
And what happens if you forget that you have kombucha in a place?
So that has happened before. It's gonna turn very, very sour, almost to a point where you're not gonna be able to drink it anymore. So you don't want to forget. You might want to set a reminder for yourself in a calendar of when to check it. I have some pH paper, and on day number 5, let's say today is Monday, 5 days from now, I might want to dip my pH paper, dip it into my solution, and compare it on my little chart to see where it's at. Ideally, we want it to be at 3.0 pH.
So, if it's here, then it's good, right?
Correct, yes. And actually, here's our next slide. So remember the ethanol we made in the last slide? This ethanol is actually going to be consumed and eaten up by the acetic acid bacteria. So that's the bacteria part of the SCOBY. It's actually a 2-step process. So first, the ethanol will turn into acetaldehyde. Then it'll turn into acetic acid. So here's just some chemical formulas to show them. And here's just another example of what the fermentation process might look like. Just a picture out of it here. Next
So
slide, please.
this is, so when you guys are, is this what it's gonna look like when it's still processing?
Correct, yes. Thank you. Some of the products that we can see when we get kombucha, again, acetic acid, that's how we get that sour taste, that tangy taste. Ethanol, carbon dioxide, the fizziness. We get some vitamin B, vitamin C. Those are great for energy and for our immune system. And there's other organic acids that are also formed. Gluconic acid, lactic acid, citric, and malic acid. Next slide, please. Some benefits that are being disputed by some scientists, but still, many people for thousands of years have consumed kombucha. So we have thousands of years of people telling us that it helps with digestion, that it has antioxidants. Antioxidants are actually these little soldiers that help your cells fight off disease and promotes your health.
Yes.
It has some detoxification capabilities, and again, it helps with energy levels. So if you need a pick-me-up and you want to stay away from soda, you might want to drink some kombucha, right?
Yes, because kombucha is kind of like soda, because every time when I just drink a jar, like a regular bottle that we buy at like a regular store, grocery store, and any places where they sell kombucha, it's the bubbles. It's like soda, but they're making
It's
a healthy.
satisfying, right?
They're making like a healthy soda.
Yeah, I love that analogy. It's like a healthier soda. So now we know anyone at home can be a chemist. You basically, we just performed some chemistry here. How about that? Now you're certified to be a chemist. You like that?
Yeah. Well, this was all interesting. All of the time, I was blown shut.
Thank you so much for having me again, Lorenzo. So here's actually a little sample of our kombucha. Let's cheers. Thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate your time. Let's see how it is. Sour?
Sour.
Right? It's a little on the sour
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. We probably
Awesome.
left it to a little too long.
There's a lot of recipes online if you guys weren't able to follow along, but hopefully we gave you a great introduction how you can make your own kombucha at home and how you can be a chemist at home, right?
So now, if she wasn't here, we shouldn't know that, do chemist. But I made time for her to do chemist. And
Thank you so
thank you for coming, Diana Rodriguez. End the show.